Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Hello and welcome to a new episode of Teaching English on Dروس Super Goal 4. Before we start, we would like to welcome Mr. Salih Al-Ujan, the interpreter to the sign language. As always, we start our class by reviewing the objectives, what we are planning to achieve by the end of the class. By the end of the class, students will be able to brainstorm ideas about memorable events. Students will be able to talk about the news. Students will be able to ask and answer questions about the news. Students will be able to identify the past progressive, and by the end of the class, students will be able to identify the past and the past participle of 5 irregular verbs. In our class today, we are going to start a new unit, that is Unit 7, and the title of this unit is Today's News. And in our class today, we're going to start with the first 2 sections. The first one is Listen and Discuss. The second section is Per Work. In this unit, Unit 7, we're going to learn a lot of things. First, the students will be able to talk about the news. They also, generally in this unit, will be able to ask and answer questions about the past ongoing activities. Also, students will be able to tell narrative stories in the past. We start with the first section of this unit. This section is Listen and Discuss. In this section, as always, we start with introducing the main theme of this unit, and this unit is under the title Today's News. You can see here, this is a TV, and you can see here some news on the TV. Okay, let's read. Tuned for breaking news. Stay tuned for breaking news. Stay tuned. That means you have to follow the next to listen to some news. Let's answer the questions here as an introduction to this section. Did you ever hear an unusual piece of news on the radio, TV? On the radio or TV, when you listen to news, sometimes you find some unusual news. Okay, today we're going to show you some of these unusual news. If you have any of these, you can talk about it and tell your classmates or a member of your family about the news that you have heard on TV or in radio. Now we need to also to brainstorm some memorable events in your lives. For example, the things that you never forget. We call them memorable events that stays for long in your memory. First, a big storm. Have you ever seen a big storm? And if you have seen that, do you still remember it? And what were you doing while you were when this storm started? Also, a blackout. Have you ever had a blackout like this one when electricity suddenly shut, or when you lose consciousness? Also, have you ever seen a championship game that is memorable and you never forget? This is what we're going to talk about it in the following slides, inshallah. You need to decide to tell us where these memorable events happened, and also where were you when these memorable events occurred. Mainly in the grammar section of this unit, we're going to talk about the past events that happened, and we are going to talk about another tense, another time, about what you were doing, or what the other action that was taking place while this thing or this action happened. Okay, now one of the memorable events that we know is the qualification of our Saudi national team, when the Saudi national team qualified to the finals, to the World Cup finals in Doha in the next summer, inshallah. So this is a memorable event. When we talk about it, do you still remember when the Saudi national team qualified, and what were you doing when Saudi national team won the last match against Australia, when they won 1-0? Okay, do you still remember that? And you need to talk about what were you doing at that time. Okay, now let's also find out about the questions that we are going to answer when we read 3 passages. We're going to read 3 passages, and these 3 passages will tell us about the theme, the main theme of this unit, which is Unit 7, and under the title, Today's News. We're going to match some words from the text that we are going to read to some other words. Like here, be fired, shriek, risk, get control, wound, and device. You can find out about the meaning of these words from the text that we are going to read in 3 slides, in the coming slides, inshallah. Also, which one matches dominate, okay, and which one matches piece of equipment, lose one's job, injury, shout loudly, and the last one, fake a chance, okay? So here are the words, or this is the question that you will be able to answer at the end of this class when we read the 3 passages. Okay, we start with the first passage that is under the title, Bad Example. What can you see on the screen? In the screen now, we can see a parrot. That is a parrot. The parrot sometimes imitates people's speech, okay? But sometimes this parrot is called Percy, and it sometimes says improper words, okay? The words that are not good. So you will read about something happened in a zoo that when a parrot called Percy uttered or said some of the words that are improper. Okay, so sometimes the parrots say bad language. What happened? That's what we're going to find out in the next slide. When the crowd was there in the zoo, they heard something bad that this parrot, Percy, said. What was it? And what happened at that time? What happened to the parrot? That's what you're going to find out when you read and listen to this section. Okay? Now let's ask you some question about this passage. Why do you think the parrot used bad language when he spoke? Why? Why he used this bad language? Also, you need to find out where do you think he was when he said that. We're talking now about the parrot. Where was he when he said these bad words? What do you think happened to him when he said those words? After saying these bad words, what do you think the zoo people there decided to do? That is what we're going to find out also. Why do you think this is an unusual news story? Also, what was the name of the parrot? It's mentioned here. The name of the parrot is Percy, as you can see here on the screen. Where was the parrot performing the shriek or the sound that he says? What did Percy do that was wrong? What is the bad language or the bad words that Percy has said? Also, is Percy still in the zoo? Is he still there making the show, or he was fired? That is what you're going to find out in the next slide. Okay? Now here are some pictures or some visuals that will help you understand the text. Let's read and listen, and you will find out the answer for the previous questions. Let's listen.
A parrot named Percy was fired from the Bakersville Zoo. He was one of a dozen talking parrots, which are the zoo's main attraction. The parrots were performing in front of a crowd when Percy suddenly shrieked out improper language. The visitors and zookeepers were shocked. The zoo decided not to risk a repeat performance in front of children and kicked Percy out of the zoo. One zookeeper said, "We'll find a safe new home for Percy."
Okay, so you find out now, after saying these bad words, Percy was fired. That was sent out of the zoo, and the zookeepers decided to let him go to another place because he was not allowed to say these bad words. We move to another passage that is under the title, Tight Squeeze. Tight Squeeze. What is this reading passage about? It's about a child and his grandfather. What happened? You can see this, we call it a snake. And a snake is dangerous. Sometimes people are vulnerable to some snakes, and they are afraid of meeting this kind of animal. Okay, where do you think this story takes place? You need to think before we read the passage. where did this story happen? Also, who are the two people? You can see here a grandfather and a child that story happened to. What kind of snake is it? It is a kind of snake that you will find out in the reading passage. What is the kind of snake? You will find it when you read and listen to this passage. What do you think happens in the story that makes it unusual? There is something strange that happened in this story. It makes it unusual. So it was in the news. What was it? You will find out when you read in the next slide, inshallah. Okay, these are the children by the river, and it took place in Brazil. And the child was afraid of the snake, but his grandfather was brave to kill that snake. Let's find out more about this story on the news, and let's listen and read at the same time.
A 76-year-old grandfather saved his 8-year-old grandson from a 13-foot-long anaconda. The boy was playing with friends near a small river in Cosmorama, Brazil, when the snake attacked him. The boy's grandfather was working nearby. When the grandfather heard the boy's screams, he ran to the riverside and was able to get the animal off the boy. The fight between the snake and the man continued. Finally, someone managed to give the grandfather a big knife, and the grandfather killed the snake. Our hero was very strong, because it normally takes 5 men to overpower and get control of a snake that size.
Okay, so the name of this snake is called anaconda. And you know how big the anaconda is. And as mentioned in this story, or in this news, that 5 people cannot defeat this kind of animal, which is called anaconda, which is very huge, okay, which is huge. And as the brave, or the hero, as mentioned here, the grandfather was managed to kill it using a knife that was given to him by another person. Now we move to the third reading passage that is under the title, Shocking Match. What is it about? It's about this boy. What can you see here? We can see a boy using a headphone. Okay, is it normal to use a headphone? Yes, it is. But what happens next is not normal. Okay, using the headphone connected to the cell phone is sometimes dangerous, and sometimes it takes you to the hospital. What are the cases, or what are the circumstances that will be dangerous? When there is a storm. When there is a storm, you have to avoid using the cell phone because it might kill you, okay, because it is very dangerous. Okay, let's answer the questions here to find out more about what we are going to read. What is the boy doing? Okay, what was he doing when the storm started? Also, you will find out how does he look, how the boy looked after the storm. Also, you will find out what you think happened to him, what happened after the storm when he was using his headphones connected to his cell phone. What happened in this story that makes it unusual? This story is unusual. There is something happened that makes it unusual, as we said. Okay, as we said before, this is a storm, and the boy was using his cell phone connected to the headphones, okay, and it was very dangerous, and something bad happened to this boy. But fortunately, he was not killed by what happened. Let's read and find out about this story.
The last thing 17-year-old Ricardo Gordon remembers was that a storm was coming, and he was rushing to get inside. Next thing he knew, he was lying in a hospital bed. Here is what happened. Ricardo was listening to the live broadcast of the football game when lightning hit him. As a result, his hair and ears were burned, and he had dark spots all over his body. The wounds on his body followed the wire of his smartphone, from his ears down to his hip, where he was carrying the device. The electric current traveled from his smartphone to his headphones. Ricardo is lucky to be alive.
Okay, so as we find out the last sentence here, Ricardo was lucky to be alive because he had lightning when there was a storm, and the lightning went through the mobile and through the wires of the cell phone to the headphones. Okay, now let's answer the questions that we started with. Match each word with its meaning. When we say be fired, we remember about Percy, the parrot. We also the shriek, when the parrot Percy say the bad words. Okay, risk, that is dangerous. Get control, want, and the last one, device. Okay, let's start with the first one here. Dominate, piece of equipment, lose one's job, injury, shout loudly, and fake a chance. We start with the first one, be fired. Which one of these A, B, C, D, E, and F match the word or a synonym of the word be fired, that is lose one's job? When the Percy said the bad words, the bad language, he was fired out of the zoo. Okay, shriek here, shout loudly. When we talk about Percy, he said bad words. We can describe the words that are said without knowing the meaning as shriek. So the word shriek, or the parrot Percy shrieked bad words. Risk here matches the word fake a chance. Okay, or take a chance. Take a chance means to take risk. Get control. This word matches dominate, and also want matches the word injury. When the boy was listening to the broadcast, he was connecting his headphone to the mobile, and he was listening to the broadcast. He had injury when the lightning hit him, and he had the electric current. Device matches the word or the phrase piece of equipment. We call the mobile phone as a device, or we call it a piece of equipment. Okay, now comprehension questions on the 3 reading passages. You need to match the titles with the news stories. Shocking match, tight squeeze, and the third one bad example. These are the 3 reading passages that we have read a while ago, and the first one here, shocking match, matches the story about Ricardo Gordon, that is the boy who was listening to the broadcast. Fight squeeze, this is the story about the snake and the grandfather, the brave grandfather who could kill the anaconda snake. The bad example is the story about the parrot who said bad words, or who shrieked bad words. Okay, now some comprehension questions. What did Percy do wrong? He used bad language. Who is Percy? Percy is the parrot who said bad words. Number 2, what was the grandson doing when the snake appeared? He was playing near the river. He was playing with friends when the snake appeared. Number 3, what was Ricardo doing when he was struck by lightning? Okay, he was listening to the football game on his smartphone. Okay, now there are some facts about what happened when the lightning hit Ricardo. We are going to learn some facts about that. The chances of being struck by lightning are about 1 in 700,000 for one person. So this is, alhamdulillah, not possible very often. Number 2 here, contrary to the popular belief, rubber shoes, as you can see here, these are the rubber shoes, do not protect you from lightning. So if you are wearing rubber shoes like these, they don't protect you. Some people think that they protect from the electric current going to the ground, but it doesn't, or they don't. Next, talking on the telephone during the storm is the leading cause of lightning injuries inside the home. So when there is a storm, when it is raining, you have to avoid using the cell phone, because sometimes there will be lightning and there might be electric current which goes to the cell phone directly, and it might make a big problem for the person who is using the cell phone. One of the most dangerous places to take shelter from a storm is under the tree. So when there is a storm, when it is raining, don't go to the tree, because as you can see here in the picture, sometimes the lightning goes to trees, to high buildings, so you have to avoid going to shelter under the tree. Okay, especially using the cell phone under the tree is very dangerous. The last one, lightning often does strike the same place twice. Tall buildings and monuments are frequently hit. Okay, there are some protections on the tall buildings to avoid these lightning shocks that sometimes possible to take place. Okay, so here is the electric shock that sometimes goes from the tree, which is very dangerous. You can see it here, and you can read more about it and to find out how to protect yourself against the lightning. Okay, now we move to the second part of our class today, that is about the pair work. Okay, in the pair work here, you need to ask and answer about the stories that we have read. What was Ricardo doing when the lightning hit him? Here we are talking about two events happened in the past, but one of them was continuous in the past, but the other one happened at once. Okay, what was he doing? Next here, he was listening to the football game on the smart phone. Okay, ask and answer about yourself. What were you doing when the big storm started? Number 2 here, the answer, I was waiting for the bus. Okay, we're talking about two events again. What were you doing when the big storm started? You were working or you're doing something when that happened. So the answer, I was waiting for the bus when the storm started. Okay, we move now to the workbook on page 115. Exercise A, look at the photos of what people were doing this weekend. Complete the stories, use words in the box. Okay, we have a knife, storm, scream, that scream, the shouting or the sound that some people make, attractions, snake, crowd, wand, and lightning. Okay, you can see here two pictures, and you can answer the question here, or you fill in the gaps. My mother has a bandage on her finger. It's not large. Okay, we can say here, it's not a large wound. Okay, you can see the finger here. It was injured by a knife, but it hurts. That means it gives her pain. She was cutting some vegetables, as you can see in the picture, for dinner, and cut her finger with what? You can see here in the picture, with a knife. So we use knife to cut vegetables. So here we have the right answer, wound for the first gap and knife for the second. Another example also, we visited the San Diego Zoo last week. One of the main, here we talk about the things that attracts people to see things. One of the main attractions, there is a panda trek. When people visit this zoo, they like to see the panda. So a panda is considered as attraction. It attracts people, and it gives them a chance to see the panda. There was a huge crowd, that means a lot of people, as you can see in the picture here, around the exhibit when the pandas came out to eat. Okay. Also here we are talking about these pictures. Let's read number 3 and find out how we can fill the gaps. I have a very funny story. My uncle is a big man. He is strong and works at a construction site. You can see the construction site where he's working. A worker found, what did he find? You can see it from the picture here, a snake under a rock. You can see it here in the picture, a snake under the rock. He showed it to my uncle. Immediately everyone heard a very loud scream. You can see the boy here screaming, that is asking for help. They all turned to see what was happening. Well, my uncle is very afraid of those long reptiles. Reptiles are the general name for snakes. And we move to the third one, to the next one here. We can tell from the picture, that's number 4, what happened here. Last night, I looked out my window and I saw my neighbor's house on fire. Just before that, we had a really bad storm. You can see from the picture here that a storm hit that area. The sky turned very dark. There was lots of thunder and rain, and during this time my neighbor's house was hit by, as you can see here, lightning, which caused the fire. Sometimes the lightning causes a fire when it hits a building or a tree sometimes. Okay, we move to the last part of our class today. That is about the irregular verb. We will review 5 irregular verbs. Start with the verb be here. Be means am, is, and are in the present. When we use it in the past, we use it as was and were. And in the past participle, we use it as been. We write 3 sentences here. I am in Riyadh when you talk about yourself. At the moment, I talk about myself here. I am in Riyadh. Yesterday or a week ago, I was in Riyadh. Okay, when I talk about the present perfect, I can say I have been to Riyadh. That means I went there, and I have visited Riyadh. That means I went regardless of specifying the time. The second one here is become, the verb become. The past is became, and the past participle is become. Look at the picture here. We can describe water that when it reaches 0 degrees centigrade, it becomes ice. So water becomes ice. When we talk about something in the past, we can say water became ice. And when the action is done and we don't care about time, we say water has become ice. Okay, blow, the past is blew and the past participle is blown. We can see here from the picture that the leaves blow. In the present, in the past, the leaves blew, and the past participle, the leaves have blown. Buy is the past of buy is bought, and the past participle is bought. I buy some snacks. That is a habit that happens regularly. In the past, I can say I bought some snacks, and in the past participle, we don't care about time here. We care about the action. Okay, I have bought snacks. Number 5, come, came, come. We use it in the present. They come to class early. In the past, we can say they came to class early, and in the past participle, we can use it. They have come to class early. And by this, we come to the end of our class today. Thank you for watching, and see you inshallah in our next episode.